Good evening, and thank you for tuning into the Clubhouse Briefing Podcast. It's evening for me. It is a Sunday at 9 o'clock, so pretty late for me. Um, had a lot of things going on, and I've been trying to get the financial analysis for Acushnet done, and it's taken me 6 months. And so I'm getting time finally on a Sunday evening. Wife is doing things around the house. Puppy has been a absolute handful for many, many reasons, but happy to be recording this and excited to jump into it. There's been a lot of things that have happened. I have recorded something, which we'll come on to in a little while, but I have recorded something between my last episode and this episode. And so very much looking forward to it. As you can see, I'll touch on it in the recording that I go to in a little while. But as you can see, a little bit of a different setup. Usually I have the camera over there by our golf clubs and it's pointing this way towards me. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try something new. So I went and figured, okay, let's try to put the iPhone up here, keep the mic going, and then just have my screen connected to my web hosting podcast site that I use, the Riverside. And so I'm excited to get into everything. And so I'm excited to see how y'all like the new setup. Mom, let me know you think about it. Because my mom's the only one that watches this. But in all seriousness, it's a new setup. And so let me know your feedback of if you like this compared to the old way, you like the old way better. I am a fan of doing this because it's much easier to edit. And so that weighs pretty heavy on whether or not I'll continue to do it. But I'm excited to jump into some stuff. First, I want to catch up with what's going on right now with the PGA Tour. Um, it's the week of the Zurich Classic, so the only team-based event that they get throughout the year besides the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup, but PGA Tour-wise and PGA schedule-wise, this is the only one they get. And so I have no idea what has happened. And so Matt Fitzpatrick and Alex Fitzpatrick, 31 under. That is a very, very low tournament. So good for them. They shot 64, 65, 57, and I guess today was probably alternate shot a little higher, but good round. Excited to see them win. They had the full swing appearance on season 3, I want to say, which was very good performance from them on that and also with their golf. And so excited to see that. There's a lot of, let's see, Rasmus Niergaard Peterson. There's a lot of DP World on the front page. These two second and tied fourth are DP World Tour. These are both PGA guys, but I think they started. Good to see that Torbjornsen and Billups are doing good. 13th. Okay, Wyndham. Yeah, I mean a good and Luke Landon Blades. I'm glad to see they perform well. Good to see a lot of people up here. My last episode touched on PXG guys, and there's one, Marco Pinch. He played pretty well with Matt Wallace, both guys from England. And so good to see that they have performed well. And yeah, congrats to the Fitzpatrick brothers. Matt is on an absolute heater right now. He is playing his socks off, so to say. Top 5 at the Players, win a tournament the next week at the Valspar, good master showing, win one of the next tournaments with your brother on a mixed field, or not a mixed field, a doubles event with 2-player fields, 2-player teams. And so good for Matt. He has got a lot of things going and is doing very well. And so congrats to the both of them. Sounded like my dog was trying to get in, but nope. Congrats to them. Excited for them. And 31 under is a very good score around this tournament. So with that, I'm also going to take a second to talk about something that I have been using every day. I'm no way in part sponsored by this company, but For Wellness makes a coffee booster, is what they call it, and it's just a supplement for your coffee. They advertise it as having stuff in it that help with long-lasting energy throughout the day, joint health, and overall just health benefits. They talk about improved focus. They go into quite a bit of stuff about how they make it and kind of the science behind it on their website. It's owned partly by Phil Mickelson and Grant Horvat. I forget the name of the dude that started it. I want to say it's not Bill. I think it's Dave. Dave was the guy that started it, I think. Let me see. Hold on. I don't think Phil was the initial owner. I could be. I mean, he was the first person to really start it or like, get into it, I guess you could say. But this guy, Dave Phillips, he was the guy that I remember started it. And he started a really good coffee brand. I remember Phil Mickelson got a lot of press about this because he was drinking it in his PGA championship win. But yeah, I really like the taste of it. I use the good stuff, the coffee additive. I get the not this. I get the cinnamon. I get the cinnamon brand. It's very good. Gives me a lot of energy. It's not something that I would say, "Oh, I have to have it or I'm going to go crazy." But on days that I don't have it, I definitely notice a difference. It definitely helps a little bit with mental clarity and staying focused and in the present moment whenever I'm at work. In terms of the joint health and other things, I'm working out, I'm getting back in the gym. And so, eating better and using this and getting back in the gym, promoting general wellness and not just this to fix all your problems is something that I personally do and what I believe in. And so it's really good. I think it's like $20 for a pack, maybe 20 to 30, and it lasts for a month. And so it's $1 a scoop pretty much. And yeah, you just put it straight in your coffee. They market this as being able to do it with no um, flavors or additives or creamers. I put milk and creamer in my coffee. I am a white girl to the full and full, and so I will load my coffee up with whole milk and a little bit of vanilla creamer. And proud to say it. So I like the stuff. I think it's been a very good purchase for me, and my wife has given it to me quite a bit just with mixing in my coffee. She's a barista. She's had a taste of it, I want to say, and she likes it. Has some collagen, Himalayan salt, good amount of cinnamon, a lot of other stuff that I think are really good, and I haven't noticed anything that's been negative. It seems like it's a very good thing, and trying to prioritize health, and so it's something that I've been using. I don't have it with me now because it's it's 9 o'clock. Like I said, I actually don't have any drinks, so hopefully I can make it the whole time without um, starting to slur and mess up my speech from having a dry mouth. So I enjoy it. It's been a lot of good stuff I like to add to my coffee in the mornings. And I say give it a try. I don't have a promo code. Like again, I'm not sponsored with it, but you can buy 30-day supply is $40. So don't know why I said 20 to 30, but it's $40. It's like $1.20 a day pretty much. Shipping usually is free or like $5 usually. So it's something I enjoy, something I'm going to keep using, and wanted to share that with y'all. But I also want to get onto my master's fantasy because I touched on this earlier. I recorded me picking my master's picks for the 2026 masters, which I will cut to now. Okay, so time to move on to the master's picks. And so, as you can see, I'm in different clothing than I am uh, recording and filming the other part of this episode, but it is Wednesday, the day before the master starts. And on the master's websites, I wanted to go through and pick my roster for fantasy. I don't have any money on this. I have two accounts and um, rosters that I'm going to make. The first one I've already made on my personal email. This one I'm making through the um, podcast and YouTube channels email address. And so this is the podcast one. It's Clubhouse Briefings Masters Picks. And so I'm excited. This is my first real year of doing this. I've got pulled up here on the left, you'll be able to see the roster creator part of the Masters websites. It closes at like usually, so for future reference, it closes for like usually midnight, Wednesday night time ish before the tournament actually begins. And so I'm doing this today. It's Wednesday, so the Masters Par 3 contest was going on, and I watched that. Trying to get a feel for a wedge game and players that are playing. How are they doing with wedges? How are they doing with putting? And I feel like I got some momentum. And so, without further ado, I've already named mine. It's just my podcast fantasy picks. And the Masters does it in a unique way. Oh, see that? Okay. They do it in 7 different ways. There's 8 sections, but there's 7 different things that you can pick. Past champions, anyone who's won the Masters, someone from the United States, international, tournament first timer, all the rookies. Then they got a wild card. Just gonna give you the breakdown here with what's the best finish they've ever had. Past champs, they've all won, obviously. So, how many cuts they've made. You can sort and search for different players. There's different selections, and you can randomize. You can go crazy and just pick whatever they want you to pick. So that's up to y'all. I'm excited. So past champs. So I've already looked through here a little bit with my other account, and I'm going to have to strategically do this because, like, do I think any of these people are going to contend? Do I think any of the top 4 or 5 are going to contend? No. Hideki, he has some potential. Rom has some potential. Also, he has the most made cuts of anyone there, I believe. Hideki also has 13 cuts, and he's played really well this year. He won at the Sony Open. Or no, not the Sony Open. What did he win this year? He won something. Hideki. He won this year. I know he did. Oh, maybe it was last year he won. Oh, man. He's got a second place finish. That's at the Waste Management. Maybe he won last year at the um, Hawaii Open. The oh my gosh, Tournament of Champions. Maybe he won that year. Maybe I guess it was 2025. But he's played really well. He has all you know, yeah, tied 41st is his worst finish. So all top 50, all cuts made. His scoring, his worst was the API. I think that was just a more difficult course, but he played good last week. He played good the players. Genesis, he played good. AT&T played good. Waste Management, he played good. So Hideki's a strong one. I'm really considering Hideki. I don't want to pick Rory just because I picked him last year and he won. So I'm like, okay, I need to give someone else a little bit of a chance. But John Rahm, he's got a really good tournament record there. Scotty's also made every cut, but I picked Scotty for my other one, and so I don't want to pick him on this one. And then Adam Scott has a really good year so far. Let me see. I feel like out of all these players, like I'm really leaning towards Adam Scott because with the way this is ran, with his results this year, he made every cut this year. He's got a top 5, a top 10, 4 top 25s, and other than that, he's played really well. So like 4th of the Genesis, tied 21st, 56th, 11th of the API. I mean, good finishes. His stats, I really want to focus on. His strokes gained total is really strong. His putting's not that great. Around the green, he's good. Off the tee, he's okay. I mean, obviously, this would smoke me in every single aspect of golf. But let's see his driving distance. 312. He's good driving distance. Driving accuracy, he's 107th, which I don't really like that at Augusta because those fairways are tight and there's a real big emphasis on hitting the fairway. He's okay on greens. Proximity to the hole's good. His approaches from 200 to 225 is good. I mean, he's really good at strokes gained approach. So I'm just really struggling on. He's not going to have tons of approaches from 100 and 125 yards. He's just not. I mean, you're going to have shots. If you lay up 75 to 100, he's fine. And then anything between 125 to like 200 probably. So I don't know what he's doing this year for his driver. He usually plays the super, super low spinning drivers, which is okay for accuracy. He's got plenty of ball speed. His swing speed's good. His putting, he's below average putter this year. So I'm struggling with Adam because he's really good cuts. He's won in 2013. I don't think Spieth's going to do good, and then I don't think so. That's my issue. And I already know that for my international player, I want to pick Justin Rose. So I could either go John Rahm for my past champ, and then put Justin Rose as a wild card. But then that locks me up for Xander on this. But then I also like Jake Knapp. I like him. I've seen him on the range warming up a couple. And then Patrick Reed may do really well. I mean, he has a really good last year score. I'm feeling John Rahm. He's played good. Hold on. I gotta go to live real fast. Teams Legion, where you at? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Stats. I'm not a huge fan of this layout. PGA Tour, the website's so much easier to go through. Okay, here we go. Okay, so his stats this year on Live, which a little bit different courses. Okay, that's not really what I wanted either, but okay. He's number one on greens and regulation. 82% his iron play is good. Okay, that was kind of pointless. So he is tied 19th on fairways hit, 63. I like that. It's good eagles, good greens, good, okay putting. I mean, I say okay. I mean, the league has 60, 70 players, so he's average for the league. He's good on scrambling. He's top in birdies. His driving distance is good. I just really feel like Rahm, he's got a win on Live. He's been top 5 on every single tournament. All of his rounds are under par. I got to go with Rahm. I got to do it. I mean, I guess you can look at his statistics, but I didn't think he did that. He's good. He's good on eagles. He makes a lot. No double bogeys hardly. Yeah, I mean, his worst round 77 is 71 scoring average. 19 rounds under par. It's pretty good. Yeah, I got to go Rahm. He's mine. See, then you get United States. Ooh, this is where it gets interesting. Okay. My other big thing is that when you go to the overall stats for the PGA Tour, Jacob Bridgman, I did not at all expect to have Jacob Bridgman anywhere on my Masters radar before. One, listening to Friday Golf's podcast with Trevor Immelman, I think. I don't have my phone, it's up there, but I'm pretty sure it was Friday Golf's podcast with Trevor Immelman or oh my gosh, Brad Faxton. That's who it was. Brad Faxton pointed out Jacob Bridgman's putting stats and how good he's been this year with putting. And he's got a win this year. He won earlier, I think, at the Genesis. Yeah, one of the Genesis. He's made every cut he's played in. He has no finish worse than tied 18th at the Arnold Palmer. Really in the waste management, really good fields. He's been playing really well. Statistically, he is a very, very solid player. His putting is phenomenal. His strokes gained total's good. His approach. Only thing that I don't like is around the green. That's what scares me. And he's a first timer. So being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put my US pick. Well, I can pick DeChambeau or Jacob Bridgman. That's the scary thing. He may be my first timer, but he's not gonna be my US pick. But he's leading a lot of the stats this year on the PGA Tour. And scoring average, he's really good too. Strokes gained total, he's doing great. Driving distance, he's not going to be up there. But yeah, I mean, he's doing good this year. Strokes gained putting, he's number one. He's beating out a lot of people. So let's see here. Let's see, Daniel. Actually, he'll play good, but like I don't think he's going to be a contender. He's got a really good season going on so far. Winning the Arnold Palmer. Keegan, his par 3 performance wasn't that great today. Michael Brennan, I feel like he's going to be either a sink or a swim guy. He's crazy long off the tee, but I just have seen some inconsistencies in his game this year. Brian Campbell doesn't have his length. Sam's okay. I mean, Sam's is one of the best like putter on tour, and he's really good. He's a really good guy and a good friend of Scotty Scheffler. So like, I feel like he's motivated to perform and keep elevating, you know, his performances at the Masters, especially being friends with Scotty, because it's, you know, they're bringing each other up. But I don't know, Wyndham, no. Fred, no. Chris Goddard, he's won like Chris Goddard's won a ton lately. It feels like. Yeah, he's won twice this year. So his results: 7 out of 8 cuts. He's played 8 events. He has 2 wins, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 5 top 25s. He's missed 1 cut at the Genesis, and that's a course that like, and it's you know, relatable, but I don't feel like it's that big of a deal. He won a playoff, Sony, played good at AT&T, played good on Palmer, played fine at the Players, had a really bad final round, and then he responded with, you know, a tied 6. But again, it's also his first year, so I'm like, man. See, but Patrick Reed's another good pick because the dude just pops off, and he's played really good on the DP World. He has 2 wins this year. He's very good at scrambling, which I think is going to be good. He can work the ball still. He's not, you know, he's not a short hitter by any means, and he's freed himself up from live by just, you know, going back to the DP World for a full year and then going to the PGA. So like, I feel like his head's in the right space. But then you have Xander, and like, I feel like Xander's played really well this year, and he's going to do good. Justin Thomas, no. Bubba, no. And then again, Cameron Young, he's a guy I feel like is going to pop off. Can I come back to this one? Yeah. International player. This one's easy. I would pick Jason Day if I wasn't picking this dude, but where is my boy at? There's some good international players. Where's Justin Rose? There he is. My dude. He's about to play good this year, I bet. Okay. First timer. Ethan Fang only hits cuts. Don't think he's going to have enough experience either. Not looking good. Ryan Gerard, he's gritty. Chris is another guy. Ben is another. Ben has like 4 PGA Tour wins at this point, 3 or 4. I feel like he'll do okay. Casey Jarvis, he's tailor-made dude. Johnny Kiefer's a good player. I don't think he's going to perform that well though. Marco Pinge, maybe a sneaky good pick. Sammy Valimaki. Oh. And see, I covered this last week or the last time that I did this podcast. Marco Pinge just changed club manufacturers, and that kind of scares me with going to play the most important tournament of the year, and you just switch club manufacturers to a new club manufacturer, and it could be great. He could love it and go out there and do great. See, I picked Tom McKibben to do well, my other pick, but Let me look at Ben's stats. Oh, his strokes guide is not great. He's good around the green, and his driving distance 308. So like he can compete, but it's just like, how did he do in the majors last year? Also, this dude's pretty cool. He worked in banking before, so I got a lot of respect to the dude that works in banking and then goes to plays golf. So he didn't play in the Masters last year. The PGA Championship, he got finished tied 8th. U.S. Open tied 10th. And then he missed the cut of the Open. I don't know. That's a tough one for me. Because and then I'm Jacob. And did Jacob Brisbane play any majors last year? Like, what did he do before? Played in the PGA, missed the cut. U.S. Open, missed the cut. And didn't play in the Open. Yeah, it's just like two majors, I don't know. I don't like that. Like that doesn't sit well with me. That the only other major championships you played in, you missed. He's a first timer. It's just like, oof. They're all first timers, but I don't like no cuts, and your putting's great, but other than that, it's like, I don't know. That just worries me. I'm gonna go Ben. Major history. 1 week of the year you can pop off. Also, congratulations to Brandon Holtz, but I've seen a lot of articles that are like, oh, he's just like us. He's a normal guy playing in the Masters. It's like, not really. Like, he played on the mini tours, and I want to say it was either the web.com or the Corn Ferry. I don't know exactly what time he was going through, but he played on the mini tours in Florida and potentially some web.com and Corn Ferry tour events. Like, was professional for like 6 to 7 years. Like, he's not like me going out there and playing Masters. Now, granted, he deserves that spot, and he did great for his mid-am appearance, but small rant, he's not like your typical dude going out and playing in the Masters. He was a former professional golfer, so like, yeah. But I'm gonna go with Ben. I feel like he'll have a good year. Wild card player. Oof, I gotta go back to the international. This is the U.S. player. Sorry. I don't know. And Patrick Cantley does pretty good every year, but then he falls off in the final round. And Bryson scares me with his club tweaking. He really does. I'm just like, you could be a really good pick or a really bad pick. He doesn't hit it far enough. Max is playing better. But then I have to pick from Jake Knapp. Did I pick my wild card? Here's the thing. Is I want to pick Cameron Young. But I also want to pick Xander, Scotty, or Patrick Reed. Or Jake Knapp. And so I feel kind of bad not picking Scotty just because like I wish I had like 8 picks because I could pick a much better team. But like Scotty's worst finish this year is like a tie 24th. And the dude just knows how to lock in. And the Xander is like another good player where I feel like he's got momentum coming into this year. And he always plays well at the Masters. He's only missed 1 cut, but it's like his best finish was tied for second the year Tiger played, I want to say. But then I'm like, I have to pick between him and the number 1 player in the world who just had a child and has a baby 2 years ago and then locks in and like wins like 3 tournaments in a row. So, Then I've got Jake Knapp, who his best finish is tied 55th, but he played this year, took last year off, and played the year before that. So I feel like Jake Knapp, 2 years from when he first played, I gotta go with Jake Knapp, dude. I gotta go with Jake Knapp. And then any player in the whole field. Oh my gosh. But I like Jason Day too. Jason Day's playing good. Also, Matt Fitzpatrick's playing good too. It's just like, man, there's so many good players that you can pick from. Like, I like Terrell. Terrell probably do pretty good. Sanjay does really good too. I think he went to live. Like Brooks will play okay. But then I also like Cameron Young. But then I really like Patrick Reed. I just don't know. Like, it's kind of crazy to me. Like, I have so many. Patrick, Sander, or Scotty. I got to go Patrick. I just feel like Patrick Reed's gonna have a good year this year. And watch Scotty's probably gonna win the thing, but that's all right. I'll show you my other rosters. Well, how many total putts we record by the field? There is probably going to be an average of greens are fast, not supposed to rain. 31 putts for 90 guys for the first 2 days, plus I'm going to say it's going to get harder as the week goes. Sunday pin locations. 45 players for 2 days. Okay. Okay. John Ron, Jake Knapp, Justin Rose, Ben Griffin, Patrick Reed. I feel like that's a pretty good team. So, okay. Now let me log out and sign into my other one. Okay. So, fantasy for my personal one is past champs, Scotty. Probably going to pop off. I got Xander, Justin Rose, Tom McKibben, Cameron Young, and then the putts. How many putts did I say? That's a good pick too. I guess I can't see my other stuff, how many putts I put on there, but that's who I think is going to be on there. So yeah, so it's supposed to be a good week, but a good year, hopefully for the podcast and everything going on with Masters. And I'll be monitoring this because it's important. And plus, I kind of pride myself on knowing what's going on with golf. So anyway, back to the main part of the video we're shooting. And like I was saying, that's me going through my master's picks, picking everything for this year. As you can see, I made 2 different rosters. I made one from my personal email, and I also made one from this email, the Clubhouse Briefing email, just because there was a few picks I was like, I think they could play well, but I don't want to lock in one pick dedicated to them. And so I made 2 rosters. So I made the Clubhouse Briefing Podcast one that you'll see going back, or what you just watched, but going back in earlier in the video, and then what I made on my phone, which is funny because I spent like, I don't know, I think it was an hour that I spent total making that, but I spent at least 35, 40 minutes making this roster for the podcast for Clubhouse. And this one I spent like 4 minutes just going through and being like, bam, 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 bam. And it performed pretty well. So going through the rosters, past champs, I picked Scotty on my first one. John Rahm, he made the cut. I told my wife, I said, look, he's going to lock in. He's going to get it done. But he was 6 over for the first round, and then had a good second day. But all the live guys struggled. I think the lowest one was Terrell Hatton. He played very good. He was 10 under. And then after that, I think it was Rahm and like Carlos Ortiz or maybe Dustin Johnson. Like none of the live guys really performed that well besides Terrell. Um, I don't know, just I mean, definitely a topic for another video, but Liv just not performing in the majors. And DeChambeau really blew up on a few holes that you probably have seen if you watched this. But struggle in the bunker, struggle with iron gapping was DeChambeau's problem. And Liv just in general has not had a good major performance, which I think people could say is a lot of lack of credibility for the league and the type of events they're playing. Because I know one of the criticisms is they had 2 weeks off, I want to say, before the Masters, and that's the biggest tournament, if not the second biggest tournament, depending on where you're at in the world, for the whole calendar year. And having 2 weeks off is not the best way to perform or prepare and then perform whenever you're going there. So pick Scooter. Scooter was my number one for past champs. Obviously, a second place finish. Um, Xander, I knew he'd play well. I picked Jake Knapp for my U.S. person. Jake played well. Xander played well. I'm very happy with those. Justin Rose, I knew he's going to contend. I hate it for him, which, funny enough, ever since there was a tournament, it was a Colonial, I want to say in 2017 or 18, and my stepdad and I want to say my mom went to it. I know for sure my stepdad and I went to it, but we went to the Colonial. Justin was in the top 5, top 3 of that tournament. We were on the 17th hole. You're going, I want to say it's south, and then the 18th comes back the other way north. We were going south, and I stuck my hand out for Justin to high five it. He whiffed me, hit the other guy behind me, and I was like, "Come on, man. I'm right here. Just turn around and give me a high five." And he didn't do it. And ever since then, I've said he's not going to win. And I think he's won. He won at Torrey Pines this year, which congratulations, Justin. Great to see that. But I'm like, dude, if you just high five me, you could have won already. But I knew going into this, Justin Rose is going to play well. He finished second last year, so I'm like, okay, he's gonna play well. And he did. I hate that he can't get it done. I know he's going to. He's one of the guys that gets better with age. He's aging like fine wine, and so picked him on both teams. He played well. Ben Griffin, even. So he got me a lot of points on that. Tom McKibben, I don't really know what to say. Like first timers, like Michael Brennan was your guy. Michael Brennan or Jacob Bridgman. He was the other guy. I remember talking about him in the recording, and man, I couldn't do it. I was like, I think Tom's going to play well. I think he's won a live event this year, or at least been in the top 5. I think he's been playing pretty well. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to pick Tom. Nope, didn't pay off. And so wild card was Cameron Young. He played well. He shot 10 under in the final group. And then Patrick Reed, he's going to make the cut. He's going to perform. And first day, I think he was leading or tied for second. So very good performance by my team on this side. If I would have just switched out Tom McKibben for Michael Brennan, which I didn't really know if Brennan was going to play well, and then put in, Xander, or no, I guess I would have had to do Cameron as my US, had to do Rory as my wild card, and then keep Justin Rose international. That probably was the highest you can get. I don't know how else you can get higher than that. So good year for me. Going to do it next year. Definitely going to record it and put it on the podcast. And so good Masters performance. And Yeah, congrats to Rory. You can see here the big one is I didn't pick Rory on this one. And so Rory won, got a second green jacket. Congratulations to him. Super exciting for him and his family to be able to celebrate that. Poppy was there. And so, yeah, it's a good way to start the season. I'm looking forward to um, the PGA's next and then the US Open, especially the US Open for Scotty because he can win the Grand Slam. And so, stay tuned. We'll be covering that in more detail. And so, next is the massive bombshell that Tiger Woods has been arrested. And it's, I have mixed feelings. One, the first thing is I'm deeply saddened. And as a Christian, I want Tiger Woods to experience the love of Christ and Jesus' perfect healing for his soul and him spiritually. Um, a lot of this happened when I was a kid, so I don't really know a ton about it. I mean, I've read and watched videos, and I know generally what's happened, but with the extramarital affairs and the divorce and the drug addictions and the surgeries, I mean, the dude has been through a lot. And just from a human level, I feel bad for Tiger because there's a lot of pain in there. There's a lot of hurting. Um, and it doesn't, you know, minimize what he did. And if you don't know, if you've been living in a cave, literally, he was found driving in Florida. There's body cam footage of him and his car. He was driving down a 2-lane road. It was one going this way, one going this way. So just one lane on each side. And he tried to overtake a vehicle. When he did, he was going too fast. I want to say he was going 60. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna stay. Oh yeah, there's the photo of his Land Rover flipped over and him on the phone. Um, yeah, so yeah, if you didn't know, and it's just sad. Like this video here is just sad. They do a sobriety test on him, and it can. Yeah, I mean he's pulled over with the police. He's doing a sobriety test. Um, yeah, he doesn't look good. His face is puffy. It's just it's sad because he's, in my opinion, the greatest golfer of all time. And he's being pulled over by the police. He's doing sobriety tests in which justice is justice. I mean, if you do something that requires legal intervention and something that's against the law, yeah, you should be held to account for it. But um, it's sad. It's sad to see it. Um, and that, like I was saying, that obviously doesn't minimize what he did because he was trying to overtake somebody. And when he did, he went 60. I want to say swerved and the car flipped, or he was trying to avoid a head on collision and, swerved and flipped the car he was in. But, yeah, he was in his Land Rover, Range Rover car, whatever it was, SUV, and flipped over, almost hit someone else, I believe. Thankfully, no one was injured, but when they pulled him over, they found that he was on pain pills. He was on some sort of um, drug that was he was going to get a DUI. So he's driving under the influence of some sort of narcotic or drug. I believe it was pain pills. I really do believe it was pain pills. But please go research and read on this. This is just me catching up from what happened. But it's sad to see, and it doesn't minimize that. One, he could have killed somebody. If he would have killed someone, that is a much different, conversation from the media about Tiger. Because so far it's been focused on him, like it should, and his family has been tied into this with Charlie and stuff. But, um, if he would have hurt someone, it'd been horrible. And that's something he would have had to live with. He would have been in legal issues with that. Another family would have been, grievously hurt. And if someone would have died, that would have been horrible. And so, um, it's sad to see. It's sad to see that. Um, and you need to pray for him. You need to pray for him. He left the country. He got authorized to be able to go out of the country and um, get medical counsel with therapists and psychiatrists or some sort of professional help. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it honestly because um, I think I heard a My Golf Spy podcast talk about this one of their episodes, and I think it's really great to point on is they had a podcast with Tony and Chris. They were talking about, is it time to move on from Tiger? Is it time the media lets him fade out and go into the PGA Tour Champions, go and play in the majors, do his thing, move into being a mentor of the game. And props to my gospel. Love y'all's content. Don't know if you've seen mine, but love to listen to y'all's. I think I was in the top 1 or 2% of listeners. And so, Tony, Chris, you're doing the Lord's work. It's great. But they pointed on that it's probably time for the media to drop Tiger. And he's good for ratings. He's good for engagement and buzz. A lot of new golfers, people that don't even play golf that I talk to, know about Tiger Woods. Like, he is the face of golf. And is it time for the media to drop him? My thing is yes. My answer, or my main argument with this will be yes. It's time for him to move on. Like, let him move on. Get the press, the golfing world as a whole needs to give him the freedom to move on and do other things with his life. I mean, he's 50. He needs to move on and move to a new chapter and move into a mentor role. He was playing a TGL match 2 days before this happened. It's like, you see him out there, he's hitting golf balls for the first time on camera. A lot of support, and he has so many great qualities, but he has things he needs to deal with, and he's always been in the spotlight from literally the youth of his life. He has been in the spotlight. He has always been the buzz, the commotion, the high profile. He's been that. So let him move on. Let him have some peace. And I think the second point that they touched on that I want to highlight on is, when you put people like Tiger or Scotty or Rory, or in baseball, Paul Skeens, or hockey, Wayne Gretzky, or Usain Bolt, any of these freak athletes, Michael Phelps is another person, great Olympian. When you put these freak athletes on a pedestal, and a lot of kids will say, oh, I idolize them. I idolize them. Well, if you idolize something or someone, you make it your idol. And, in a very serious sense, you don't want idols, because that takes the place of God. Like, in my life, I have God, my wife, my family, and everything else underneath that. That's the structure that I live. I am happy to tell anyone to their face that's how I live, because God is at the top. And when people idolize it, I don't think they normally mean, oh, Tiger Woods literally is taking the spot of, God, or whatever religion you are, whatever your beliefs are, that top thing, that top priority. I don't think, most golfers look up to Tiger Woods and say, oh, he's my Jesus. I don't think they do that. But when you idolize something and you put someone up on that high of a pedestal, it it's easy to say this and it's harder to do, but it's not worth it. They're going to fall flat. No one can do that. And for anyone that puts Tiger on a pedestal because of his golfing accomplishments, because he's a cool guy, because he's involved in all these things, and he has an inspirational figure, he should be an inspiration. He's not your idol. He should be your inspiration. And even that, they always say, don't meet your heroes, because they're not going to live up to your expectations. And so, no one's perfect. Tiger's not perfect. Roger Federer, the president, um, even your spouse, the closest person that you have in your life, with a relationship, they're going to fail. Tiger Woods is going to fail you. And if you idolize him and you look up to him and you see these stories and you go, oh my gosh, how could I ever think that this would happen to someone like him? And how could he make such a stupid decision? Because he's a human, he's a man. And as a Christian, I plead, and to the 25 to 50 people that watch this, look to Jesus, look in the Bible, look at history. He's the only perfect person. And so, I see these, and it's sad, and it's heartbreaking, because again, Charlie's about to go to Florida State University and play on one of the best golf teams in the entire country. And he has to live with this. Like, if he sees Luke Clanton, which he's going on to be in the PGA Tour, and I think Luke's going on, he may have another year at FSU. I don't know why I misspoke of that. He may have another year at FSU, but like, if Luke goes up to Charlie and goes, "Hey man, like, is your dad doing good? Like, or is that situation okay?" I'm sure when they become friends and they get to know each other, that's going to be an easier conversation. But even to have someone ask you that, you're probably going to say, "Man, I kind of wish my friends didn't know that." And so, I can only think about the embarrassment for Tiger, but also his kids. He's got a daughter too. I forget her name, but he's got Charlie. Charlie's going to Florida State, and that's just, it's embarrassing for your kids. And so, pray for him. wish him the best. Hope he goes and gets well. And just a sad thing to see. So yeah, not a good story, but one I wanted to cover just because look to Jesus. And if you're not a Christian and you have something else in your life with another religion, or you don't believe in God, but you have some sort of higher moral purpose, look at that. Obviously I have my own thoughts about all that stuff, but I'm not going to get into that here because it's the golf podcast. But whatever your highest moral value is, value that. Don't put it in a little guy. Don't put it in a man, because Tiger, he's a man. Anyone's a man. They're going to let you down. And so, um, anyway, off my soapbox. So, let me share this screen with y'all. I want to finally, after 6 months of doing this, present my very own Clubhouse Briefing financial analysis. And so I need to keep this short so my wife doesn't get angry with me. She wouldn't. She's sweet. But I do want to get this done because I've been working on this for quite some time now. But I have been working on this financial analysis since the date up here was October. So it's really been from October to now. And, I touched on it whenever I was in the first episode of this podcast. After the holidays, I got busy, things happened. And so I've caught up on this. And this is Acushnet, which if you don't know, it is Acushnet Financial Holdings. Sorry, that was my hands. Acushnet Holdings Corporation. They are the owner of Titleist, FootJoy, Voki, and everything in that ecosystem that Titleist owns and touches. And so they are a publicly traded corporation. They do SEC filings. And so the income statements that they produce are in the 10Q that I'm going to go through, and then the balance sheets are also from the 10Q. And so they publish a report every quarter for the SEC called the 10Q. That's where I found this information. And this is actually the first podcast Excel spreadsheet I've made. And so let me know what you think. Beautiful, nice logo over here, all the stuff going on. And so, yeah, looking at their financial statement for the income statement, going through this, I did it by semi-annually. So they do every quarter. I wanted to do every 6 months. And so I start with June of 2024, end of 2024, and then June 30th of 2025. Looking at the revenue, for every 6 months, they're averaging about 1.4 million. So the average of the 2.5 years that I have is right about 1.4 million on an annual basis. It looks like there's some seasonality. So with June, I would say April, May, and June, they're going to see increased sales due to fitting for new clubs. A lot of new equipment is going to go and get bought because they're coming out of the winter season. Texas, we don't really have winter. We have like 2 or 3 weeks of cold, and then we go back into early spring. But a lot of places come out of winter in March, April, May. That is exactly when this report, or whenever this report is dated, for the first column and the second column. And so I think increased sales with people coming out of the winter, going to buy new equipment, new shoes, new gloves, that's all encompassed in here. And so on an annual basis, Titleist for 2024, they made around $2.46 million. And I think for 2025, they're right on track to do about the same. I could go and check. I'm not going to, but I would estimate they're probably going to end 2025 at about 2.6 million. And so gross profit's pretty healthy at 675 for the first part of 2024. I'm going to focus moving down just on the annual performance. And so they made a gross profit of 1.19. Then they go into their operating expenses. So the SG&A is kind of salary and wages, everything to run the facilities, office expenses, like it says there, general administrative things to run the company, plus any sort of sales commissions and how they do their sales structure. You have R&D, which I'll touch on. They spent $67 million on R&D development. Amortizations, they can expense a lot of the intangible assets, and they write that off as an expense, and that gives you what their actual operating income was. Their interest, what they're paying on their long-term debt, was about $52 million. Goes into other expenses, just other things they had to pay throughout the year, about $2 million. Take out income taxes from that figure, $200 million for the year. So, um, yeah, that is what it was attributable to Acushnet. So they break it up. They have Acushnet, which owns the majority. Um, okay. Acushnet Holdings is owned by the company. They have their own stock that they own, but they also have what they call non-controlling interests. So just minority interest in the company that owns, so let's say 5% for this example. They own a little bit of the company. And so they split up their net income to what is solely like Titleist, FootJoy, Acushnet in general, what is solely theirs, and what net income is attributable to those minority party um, interests that they also have. And so total 2024, they made $214 million. And then they break that down into product segment. And so this right here, the golf equipment is made up of golf balls and golf clubs. Annually, $1.5 billion. That is a bonkers number for those two things. Of the two, golf balls sold the most with 786 million. FootJoy, $500 million. That's a lot of money. And then golf gear is clubs, anything else that fall like clubs, umbrellas, stand bags, um, alignment stick covers, other things that fall into that category, just general golf gear that you would use on the course. And break that down, it comes out to about 2.3 billion, slightly lower than the total top line sales they had for the year for 2024 of 2.46 million. So there's some other that could fit in there. I could put in there. That and yeah, $2.34 million. If you break that down by world region, they have 5 main regions that they break it down into. The United States, they have EMEA, which is just Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. They have Japan, Korea, and then rest of the world. And so, United States, yeah, we we are the golf spenders. We like to spend money on golf, apparently, at almost $1.5 billion. Europe, Middle East, and Africa right about 320. Japan, Korea, and then rest of the world at 260. So that's South America, Australia. I'm guessing Asia because the only two Asian countries they have here is Japan and Korea. So that'd be China, Russia, you know, India, all the other countries and continents that make that up. So that totals pretty close to what's up here. And then add backs at my job. If we end with the net income, we add back depreciation because it's not a cash expense the company actually incurred. It's just an expense they write off for tax purposes and to represent the value of their assets going down each year. And so they can write off depreciation. So we add that back for what I do at my commercial underwriting job. And then interest expense, we add that back as well because we have a debt schedule we can go through and look at what are the debt payments this company's making. And so typically I add that back. I didn't add back the interest because I don't have a debt schedule. I mean, I have their current portion of what they're paying on their debts, but I don't have the actual schedule itself, which for Acushnet, man, they have a lot of equipment. They have a lot of long-term loans. They have probably short-term notes that are doing type of things that I couldn't even fathom. And so I added back their depreciation and amortization expense back into their net income for the company. And so all in all, what do they actually make? Including depreciation back into that. For 2024, it was 270. For the first 6 months of 2025 is 204 million. And so very healthy profit margins, very healthy income for the company. And then I have down here their key financial metrics. And so for as of June 30th, 2024, they had a net worth of 898 million. So if they sold everything, that's what they're walking away with. For the annual figure, that went down to about 793 million, and then went up as of June 30th for 2025 back to about 800 million, 810 almost. And so net worth, they are doing well. They have a good profit margin of averaging, I want to say, right about 11%. So healthy profit margin because 10% of $2 billion, they're doing okay. even 5% of that, they'd be doing good. And so that gives them enough to do reinvestment, keep their retained earnings up, and also do distributions or dividends. They don't do distributions because they're publicly traded, but dividends, any sort of shareholder things they want to do, that gives them capital to do that as well. And so looking at their gross profit, 48 is really good, especially for a CPG company. And with them being the largest golf company in the world, they are doing very, very well from a gross profit margin standpoint. And so, yeah, very healthy financials. And my main takeaways, hopefully, yeah, y'all can see it on there. You can feel free to read along at your own pace on the screen, but if you're also listening to this, I'm going to read through them. First main takeaway from me is that the parent company, Acushnet, they're in a healthy financial position. Their net income averages around 11%, and so they perform well from 2024 to 2025. I would not be worried if I was an investor in the company about how they're doing financially. They have money to pay all their debt obligations. They have interest expense of 27 million and then 52 million, compared to say 304 million operating. They can pay all their debts. They can pay their shareholders. They're investing in R&D. They're doing well. So I would have no worry about that. Second point is that products are sold roughly at double the price at which they purchase them, based on just their gross profit margin, because they sold for 2024 annual basis of 2.5 million. And then their cost of goods sold is 1.26. And so, to put it in easy words, if their driver's priced at $699, I'm pretty sure the GTS has already came out at this point and it's been publicly released. But if not, you will know by this podcast that the Titleist GTS drivers have been on Instagram, they've been on YouTube, they have officially released. That is their new driver. And I think that driver's price is $699. If that driver's price is $699, Titleist is getting every component, the manufacturing labor, everything that goes into building that club, shipping it to somebody. They're doing that for $350 and they're selling it to consumer for $699. That $350 markup, the double the price, is what they then use to pay their salaries, R&D, interest expenses, every expense that they have to operate outside of just the clubs and the components to build the clubs and ship the clubs themselves. Everything else is paid by that extra $350 they're tacking onto the price. And so, yeah, it's basically what they buy it for, double it. That's what you're getting it for. And so, that's how they pay everything. They're doing fine from financial perspective. And I also want to know, I would assume the golf balls have a higher, gross profit margin than the other ones. I think their cost of goods sold is probably lower than something like a golf club or an iron or a wedge. And so I've been told that's the largest margins in the golf industry. And so Pro V1, Pro V1 X line, that's probably where they're making their mint. And you can see here from a raw sales category, golf balls is the number one seller. And so yeah, they're doing very well, and they're selling clubs and equipment holistically, everything, shoes, gloves, everything included, double the cost. And then third, the golf equipment for Titleist, all their clubs and balls, just that. That's roughly about 61% of all company sales. And so if you look down here at this 1.5 million out of 2.3 or 1.5 billion out of 2.3 billion, it's about 60%. And year over year, they in their 10Q report said that mainly the increase in the number of sales dollars, so not number of units, but just how much money they're making with each sale, that's increasing because they're raising the prices. And so what that tells me is that, yes, inflation is being passed down to us consumers. Everyone likes to think that no, businesses are just going to eat into their profit. And, looking at Titleist financials, they have 214 $1 million that they could decide, okay, we will eat some of that, and say they wanted to get it down to 150, but they're not doing that. They have shareholder obligations. They are publicly traded company, and they're not just going to say, oh yeah, let's just give away $50 million in expenses. Now, You can argue that they should or they shouldn't. All that aside, I am just looking at the numbers, and yeah, they're passing on inflation costs to their consumers. Um, Two secondary takeaways. The United States is roughly 60% of their sales, with Korea is the next largest country in terms of sales. And so looking at the United States on an annual basis, US is $1.44 billion, a very, very large chunk of that is going to the United States from a total perspective of where they make all their money. But also we're 50 states. Like, we are a lot of different demographics, populations, regions in one big country. And so yeah, a lot of people too, with 300 plus million. So a lot of people to sell to, 50 individual states, big country. So that makes sense. And we also like play golf in the United States. And so next is Korea. They are the next largest country, just from a country standpoint. Europe, Middle East, and Africa is the next largest region, but Japan is the next largest country. And so um, very interesting. And I think I would want to dive into, if I want to do some market research, of why Korea. Like, I don't usually think of South Korea being a um, golf haven or a golf paradise by any stretch of the imagination, but I want to see if they're getting a good foothold in that market, or they're established in that market for product offerings that tailor, really um, grab the Korean golf population's attention and makes them want to try, and then try the golf equipment and the golf clubs, and then they become attached to it. Or if they just have different availability with custom fittings and offerings. I'm not sure, but I want to do some little more research to figure out why Titleist is performing so well there. But I also don't know how much total golf sales are in Korea, so I need to see that too. But Titleist performs well in Korea. And I touched on this earlier, that R&D expenses. So out of 2.4 billion, they spent 76 million on R&D. That's all salaries, all actual physical modeling, testing, shipping for player testing, everything inside that R&D budget is 67 million. And on a percentage basis, they spend 2% of their sales. It's going to be 3 when you round up. They spend 3% of their sales on R&D. So sometimes I get in my head, oh, they spend too much on R&D, blah, 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 blah. They really don't. It's only 3%. They spend 50 plus on actually building the stuff, 3% on, you know, developing new clubs. And so, yes, you are paying for that in a new driver, but it's not, I don't think it's outlandish. And plus, that SG&A doesn't give me a breakdown of marketing dollars spent, but Titleist is really big into marketing, FootJoy and the other, sub brands and that, and brands and that. Not as much, but yeah, they definitely spend a lot on, R&D and marketing from a dollars perspective, but from an actual percentage of revenue, that doesn't seem outlandish to me. And so, all in all, very healthy company, performing well, and yeah, no issues from that. And looking at a balance sheet perspective, looking at a balance sheets perspective, same way as before, half the year, full year, and June 30th. But the good thing about the balance sheet is it's not a span of time, it's an exact period in time snapshot. And so this is not the 6 months before June 30th. This is on June 30th. What does the company have? And so this really just gives you a year over year change of how their assets and liabilities and equity is changing. And so looking at their current assets of what is liquid, what can they use to pay for things. Cash holdings, 60 million. So good, healthy cash holdings. Their net account receivables, I don't know if they're writing off anything over 90 or anything that's say over 75, but their accounts receivables, what they're owed from customers, they're at 430 million. I'm going to guess a lot of that's business to business with custom fittings and different, like retailers like Dick's and Golf Galaxy and PGA Superstore. I'm guessing that's a lot of what that is consistent of. Inventories. This includes work in progress, so things that are actively being put together in the shop, and just raw components with shafts, club heads, grips, everything. 530 million. They have prepaid assets, whether that is short-term bills or prepaid accounts. I'm not sure, but they have prepaid assets that's current of 134. They have property for 325 million. Goodwill is anything that's carried over from previous purchases, like if Acushnet bought it from someone else and they have some sort of asset value that's going to transfer over to Acushnet, that's included in there. But also things like brand value, that's kind of lumped into intangibles too, but any sort of namesake, let me see, I even have a note here. Goodwill. It's an asset that shows the intangible value of a company more than its assets. So I have a note here. Let's say Acushnet buys Callaway for $100 million when Callaway is only worth 80 on that purchase. So like in this example, Titleist Acushnet buys Callaway for 100 million. It's really worth 80. There's a $20 million premium. And so that is rolled into Acushnet's balance sheet. And so like if Acushnet bought FootJoy, I don't know exactly when that acquisition happened. Let's say they paid 100 million, but FootJoy is only worth 50 million. 50 million premium, the difference between 150, that 50 million premium is rolling into Acushnet's balance sheet as something they have. They have intangible assets like the brand reputation, sponsorships, other things that they have that's not really tangible, but it's still worth money to them. They have income taxes that are deferred and then other assets. So all in all, total assets of 2.4 billion. Liabilities, they break it out into short-term debt. They have what's current on what they're paying, accounts payable. So accounts receivable is what they're owed from customers. And then accounts payable is what they can pay to their suppliers, what they owe them. That for the end of the semi-annual report for June 30th of this past year was 180 million. They have accrued taxes. They still owed 47 million. So they believe me, they pay a lot in taxes. They pay their fair share. They have accrued employee compensation and benefits with payroll, pensions, retirement things they contribute to. And then they also have expenses and other liabilities they're still obligated for. Long-term debt for equipment, property, buildings, all that stuff is 900 million. They have income taxes that they've deferred. And then they also have, okay, I take that back. This is just benefits they pay their employees, like any sort of healthcare benefits, paid time off, if FMLA, I want to say it's the family leave things that they still owe. Moms that have children, let's say, they can pay that out. Long-term things like pension, post-retirement's in its own category. So I got that jumbled up. That's 70 million. And then other long-term liabilities they just have classified. That's 1.6 billion. So right now, tell me assets are about 700 more than liabilities. They're doing fine. The rest is commitments and contingencies. I don't want to get into this too much, but this is basically a line item that's showing the amount of money that other shareholders have in Acushnet. So, like I said, if Acushnet bought FootJoy in 2020, but FootJoy already had other investors in those in FootJoy, even if they don't have majority rights over FootJoy, they have some sort of ownership. So that's just transferring over to Acushnet whenever they're buying FootJoy. So the minority investors in FootJoy still own part of Acushnet now, but at any point in time, they can say, hey, we want our money, we're out. So, there's almost $5 million in people that can cash out on what they have. Common stock, just what was the IPO pretty much? What did they issue stock for? Usually it's a cent, a dollar, maybe even at some cases. How much money has been additionally paid in by investors through stock offerings, retained earnings. They have accumulated loss for, let's say, investments that have actually gone negative or other things like that. How much money the company's made historically, treasury stock that they have as well. And then total equity for the company, so net worth, is $800 million. So it's the same as what was on the previous page. And then looking down here, what's the tangible net worth? So what is the total net worth of the company minus things that you can't touch. So what is just the hard goods net worth? As of June of last year, it's $66 million. Current ratio for can they pay all their liabilities with the assets they have, it's at 2 times. They can pay two times what the current liabilities for the company are. So that was like short-term debt, accounts payable, taxes, current obligations on their long-term debt. They can pay all that twice over, 2 times over with the amount of money they have. Quick ratio. So anything minus inventory, what can they cover their debt obligations with? Taking out inventory, they can still do that about 1.25 times. How much working capital they have? They have $600 million, a lot. Their debt ratio looks good. They're not financed by debt solely. They have assets that are being, funded by equity, by actual money flowing into the business from income, but also from stock. Debt to equity looks fine. And then inventory is how many times over are they turning, how many times are they turning over their inventory? On an annual basis, it was 2 times. So they're selling out of inventory 2 times during the year. Just for this first part of the year, it was almost 1.4. So they're healthy. They're selling out inventory. They're purchasing, and they're purchasing new inventory, and they are continuing to get new products. That means everything's selling out, basically. Um, Basically, main takeaways are their assets are increasing basically just from the accounts receivable from 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Like I said, a breakdown of their accounts receivable wasn't really provided, but assets went up primarily just because the accounts receivable went up. So they're waiting on more customers to pay them. Long-term debt increased. Working capital numbers are healthy. They can continue to pay all their liabilities on time. And overall, I think the company is doing fine. I'm not going to go into that. If you want to, you can pause the screen and look at everything on there. But yeah, Titleist is doing well. I know that whenever I continue and begin investing in different companies and my own personal retirement and brokerage accounts that I have, Acoustics going to be one, and so they're doing very well as a company, and I am happy to report that because I'm going to keep buying their stuff. So they're doing well. Happy to get this done. I will probably not do another one this year, honestly, because it took 6 months to do this one, and I do not want to have to do that over again. It's it's a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. So next one will be Callaway, but I'll probably wait for end of the year 2026 because there's also other things that I want to do, and I'm on pace to do one a month of the podcast and these episodes, and so I will do this again probably at the end of the year, beginning of next year, though. And so I'm going to move over to my last thing that I wanted to touch on, which was I need to quit sharing an article that came up by Golf Digest highlighting. Let me do one thing real fast. But the last thing I wanted to touch on was this article. So there's a ladies Epson Tour player who wore a crop top, as you can see from here, and she wasn't fined for it. And so I think this goes back to the LPGA's rules and policy for what is acceptable for a person to wear on the golf course. And this article basically goes down and it touches on a girl named Annabelle Fuller. She's on the ladies Epson tour in the United States, but then on this article, she was playing in the Australian Championship, and she finished 7th, her best result. But chatter started to happen whenever she was taken a picture of in a skirt and then a crop top with a visor and a hat or just whatever sort of headpiece that was, and yeah, I mean that created a buzz about, and I quote, the assumption that she had violated a dress code. So I am not a woman, but I have a wife who has to wear golf clothes, and she has mentioned to me that golf attire for ladies is much more difficult to um, not read the room on, but kind of just know what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. That women are just held to a different standard than men are, which, comes down to how we're made also, is that I can wear things that my wife can't wear just because um, we aren't made the same. But I can show up to a golf course without having to put in a ton of effort. I can put on a polo, put on some golf shorts, tuck it in, put on a hat, boom, I'm out the door. She has to put in a lot more thought. And so um, it just talks about in this article about how a lot of other girls have worn crop tops, about how she's not really sure why hers sparked as much controversy as it did. I didn't hear much about controversy on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, but this article did touch my eye because it wants I think the writer and what it wants to do as an article itself is touch on what is appropriate to wear on the golf course. I'll touch on this one, but I really wanted to touch on men's attire because I'm a guy. I have to wear all the men's stuff. So I think I'm better equipped to touch on that. But for ladies, what's acceptable? My wife usually has to wear um, a golf skirt. She can't wear leggings because that's considered only for the gym. She can't wear gym shorts because that is going to show too much of her legs and her butt. And a lot of guys are going to be pervs and stare at her. And she can't wear a skirt or a dress because that's not functional. So she has to wear a golf skirt and some sort of like polo-ish style top or a crop top that looks nice but not too sporty, but also doesn't show too much and can't be too revealing. And so whenever I say, hey, do you want to go hit golf balls at the range? For her, it takes 5 to 10 minutes to go through this process. With me, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go literally grab that rollback polo and throw it on, throw on some Under Armour shorts, my golf shoes. I'm out the door. For her, it's not that way. And so, um, honestly, if you're a lady, I would say, my opinion, leggings or, a golf skirt with something covering your torso and not showing too much, that should be fine. And I like this girl, I don't look at that and go, "Oh my gosh, she looks like she's not meant to be on a golf course." She just shows her tummy. It's like, okay, not a big deal in my book, but I'm not a girl, so maybe there's a different way that people would feel about it than me. But I'm like, I don't really care. But for the guys, whenever whenever people ask me what should I wear to go to the golf course, people at the bank or people that I meet, there's almost like this stigma, like I have to look a certain way, I have to be dressed a certain way, I have to say this the right thing, I have to do all this stuff. And if you Google online men's golf attire, this is what you're going to get is like some sort of athletic shoe or golf shoe with shorts, a polo that's tucked in with a belt, a hat, and you know if it's a um, if it's a nice country club, maybe tapered golf pants with nice shoes, again, a tucked in shirt, other things like that. And so, for guys, it's kind of a little more easy to dress up. And this is kind of what I would say we're expected to wear. Not a lot of places will let you wear jeans. I think my old country club that I used to go to whenever I grew up, they let you wear jeans in the fall, but you could never wear them in the summer or the spring. But it's also hot, so I don't know why you would. But PGA Tour, especially, you're going to get this. You're going to get golf shoes with a hat, not a lot of jewelry, um, nice golf pants, nice golf shirt, clean, functional, athletic, and same with Xander. You're going to get nice pants, nice shoes, nice hat, nice shirt. And my personal opinion, what do I think you should wear to the golf course? A bit of it is I don't care. As long as you don't show up in, basketball shorts and a tank top or a wife beater, I don't really care because I think there should be some judgment on the person's part. As in, you need to know your surroundings. If you go to a public golf course like one in Tyler, um, called Oakhurst, good golf course, public golf course. But it's kind of in a suburb town. A lot of people that go there are much more country or rural in their nature. That sounds bad, but they're just good Southern folks. They're not going to look like Adam Scott going to San Francisco Bay or, the beach or whatever. They're going to be a little more country. Um, and so that's kind of the environment that I had to grow up with going to high school golf rounds and practice is that it's a little more relaxed. You're going to see a lot more khakis, cargo pants, um, you know, run-of-the-mill golf things you could buy at Edwin Watts or PGA Superstore, and read the room. Don't wear jeans, don't wear basketball shorts. I personally think this is a great outfit, is a nice, just kind of relaxed, flexible shirt. The polo with like the collar and stuff, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, if you want to wear a polo with a collar, sure. If you don't, sure. And just make it look nice. It's not that big of a deal. I know this is very I feel like very off cuff for how I usually dress, because I'm always in polos and stuff that have collars. But like on the golf course, and what I think this article also will touch on, if you go back and read it, is it's also about functionality. Like, I don't want to be in a suit and tie because I can't do anything. And I'm not advocating people go back to, the baggy pants with the dress shoes and the oversized polos and stuff. I don't think that at all. But make it sporty, functional, but also make it look nice. If you wanted to wear this and you showed up to, you know, Emerald Bay Country Club, Eagles Bluff Country Club in this, and then when it got cold, you pulled up in this, that's completely respectable. And I think Adam Scott and people like Keith Mitchell, Gary Woodland, Scotty Scheffler, like those guys are good examples of just how to dress. I think I don't want to wear like, church pants or suit pants, but things that are breathable, things that are good. And even, stuff like professional tennis outfits. If somebody pulled up in this, I think maybe this is a dramatic photo, but if you pulled up in clean, not a ton of logos, not because I don't like logos, but because a lot of people would probably be like, ugh, why do you have logos on there? And you could raise some concerns. But if you showed up in athletic pants with a polo and maybe not the wrist stuff and everything else, but some sort of sporty wear like you would find on a tennis court like this, I don't think this should be an issue either. Like, this is completely respectable. Maybe tuck it in or whatever for the shirt, but everything else looks fine. And so all that to say, use your head. Don't show up looking like you're about to play pickup basketball, but respect the other people that are there, the members, and respect the club etiquette, and know what you sign up for whenever you sign up to be a member of a club or you're going to go play around somewhere. But I don't know. I just feel like it's overblown because people are like, I'm going to play golf. What do I need to wear? What do I need to? I need to go buy new shoes. I need to buy a new polo. It's like, no, just, you know, I, I don't know how, like, once you're in the atmosphere and the ecosystem, you just kind of go, no, it's not really that big of a deal. But, I feel like there's just too much of a stigma, which shouldn't be there. Look nice, wear good clothing, and don't look like you're going to play basketball at the YMCA. No offense to anyone that does, but use your head, dress up. And I think if anyone's trying to model a good outfit, just dress like this. I mean, which I would maybe change the shoes and maybe, a different shirt, but, just make it functional, make it casual, and, have a fun time. At the end of the day, it's a game. It's not a big deal. It's a game. And so that is everything that I have for this week's podcast. I'm still figuring out what to touch on next. If you guys have any suggestions or any comments about what I should touch on, please leave me a comment or any sort of idea that you have. Longer podcast today, over an hour. Very long podcast, a good one. So excited that y'all stopped in for this episode of the Clubhouse Briefing. As always, please like, please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.